Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Mommy Guide Inc. For those who are new to the channel and you don't know me yet, I am Mommy Lala. Yes, this is Craft Every Day in August, where I go live for the whole 31 days of August, focusing on the basics of crafting. Mostly, of course, paper crafting, but not exclusively on paper crafting. And today is Craft Every Day in August. Day number 4. Yes, and today's topic is all about die cutting machines, right? So, for those who do not know what it's all about and what it is, don't worry because we will guide you through it. I do have some of my awesome crafty friends from all over the world in the chat, also ready to give out some tips for you all who might be watching right now or on replay and would want to know more about the basics of crafting. So, dear friends in the chat, yes, please do help me out. Share your own experiences when you were just beginning so that we can help those who are just starting off in this awesome, fun activity and hobby that we all love so much. All right. I think I lost my Instagram, so probably not be able to go live on Instagram. I think I accidentally closed it. Anyway, so just stay put here on YouTube. And of course, I have activated for the first time the Q&A of the YouTube chat. I don't know exactly how it works. So let's all learn together as well. All right. So first and foremost, okay. So let me just go back to the chat. All right. So of course, very early while ago was our dear friend Linda. But Linda has a doctor's appointment today, so she will not be able to join us in the chat. So Linda, safe travels and prayers for good, results for all your tests. And of course, we have Reagan here. All right, so Reagan actually is another content creator, a paper crafter, card maker, and if you have not checked out her channel, please do so. I have placed in the chat the links or the link to her channel. I hope that you would check her out. And actually today, just a few hours ago, she also posted some things or a video about her own journey when it comes to the die cutting machines that she has, right? She even did some demo and some output, so it's also a nice video that you can watch, okay, if you're looking for more inspiration when it comes to die cutting machines. So Reagan is actually in the chat, so if you do have questions for her, I'm sure she would love to answer them for you. All right. Yes, thank you also, Reagan, for dropping by. I know it's super early for you guys, so thank you. Thank you. Of course, joining me as well is my moderator daughter, Sammy Pai, in the chat. And of course, we have Susan earlier on. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, because Susan knows that, yes, some of you are coming from different parts of the world. For those who are here in the Philippines or in Asia, good evening. For those of you who are on the other side of the globe, it's probably good morning for most of you. And for those in Europe, good afternoon. So, right. All right. So everybody's saying hi to everybody. You're very welcome, Reagan. Actually, it was Roy who gave you guys, some of you guys, 5 of you, gifted membership. So really, Roy, Tech Troublemaker, is such an awesome content creator and a dear friend. And tomorrow he's actually going live with a guest on his own channel, Tech Troublemaker. And I'm actually one of his moderators, so I'll definitely be in the chat. It's 9 p.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Here in the Philippines. So for you guys, it's tonight. All right. So everybody saying hi to everybody. And Linda G, hello. Good morning, my friend. You ladies are awake early today, huh? Right? So, and of course, we have Rich. Hello, Rich. How are you? How are you, my friend? I'm okay. I'm so glad to see you in the chat. Thank you so much, Rich, for dropping by. This is Rich Vibes. Yes, from the name itself, you would know. Yes, he's a DJ. Yes, he's a DJ. And if you have events, even virtual ones, you need somebody to hype up the event, right? So you need an awesome DJ. I'd highly recommend my dear friend Rich Vibes. We actually did a live stream together a few years back. So if you're a member of the channel, you can check that out. All right. And saying hi also to Sammy Pie. Yes, she is well as well. Of course, we have Patrick as well. Good morning. Good morning, Patrick. Patrick is Everyday Tech. Okay, on YouTube. He's also another tech content creator, but actually, unknown to a lot of people, he's actually very crafty. He doubles in also in 3D printing, right? So if you want to know things that, everyday tech, things that probably, have questions about things that you use every day about tech, head on to his channel and do check him out. He's a dear friend of the channel as well. All right. So there you go. Again, thank you so much. Today we are going to be talking about, all right, die cutting machines, right? So when I started crafting, I've been interested in crafting since I was young, right? So not even double digit age yet. I really love crafting, but not the drawing. For some reason, I would love to draw, but somehow the drawing itself doesn't like me somehow, right? So I'm bad with making shapes, lines, symmetry and all of those things. But I am able. Huh? Doubling? Oh, yes, guys, because I actually am wearing a lapel. All right, so I forgot. Thank you, Sammy. I forgot to turn off the other one because, I am going to be showcasing and showing you the die cutting machines that I have right now. Okay, so I know that you guys, no judgment. Remember, I've been a crafter for more than 4 decades, and this is something that I have, somehow accumulated along the years, right? So I have actually just a fun question, right? So there's no prize for the person's gonna get this, but bragging rights. All right. So how many die cutting machines do you think I or Mommy Lala will show tonight? Do you have an idea more or less? If you have been following me for the past couple of years, I think I did this during the pandemic. So that was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So this is somehow like an update. So if you do know, put it in the chat and let's see who guessed it right in the end. Echoing. Thank you so much, Susan. Really, Susan, thank you so much. You're always my dear, dear friend who helps you check out all the, the tech stuff, right? Okay, much better. Yes, because I had two audio on, this one and this one. So when I move around, so I still have audio, I will be turning this thing on. Yes. Oh, echo is back? How's that? Oh, okay, I see it. When I move to a different scene. Okay, I get it. I get it. So when I move to a different scene and I have not muted it, okay, you will hear the echo. There you go. All right. So there. I think I muted everything in all the scenes. There you go. All right. Okay. All right. So there you go, my dear friends. Okay. All right. So, okay. Sammy Pie to the rescue. Yes, Sammy did go here and, talk to me and they said, Mom, you have audio echo. Right? So that's why it's nice to have a moderator. And if the moderator is your daughter or your wife or your husband, right? So it's also very nice because they're almost always there. Okay, question from Sammy. How many die cutting machines will Mommy Lala show tonight? Right? So again, bragging rights, no actual prize. Okay, Reagan said 6. Sammy, the audio depends on the scene. Yes, you have to you can choose the audio in each of the scenes. All right. So Susan said 8. All right. So let's see. Thank you so much again, Susan, for helping us out with that tech. Right. So there you go. Okay. So going back. All right. So the echo is back. So we fixed that. Thank you so much, Susan. So we are going to be talking about die cutting machines. Okay. So die cutting machines for crafting beginners. All right. So first, crafting machines, okay, are actually manual or electric roller machines using steel rule dice. Okay, so I will show you what that means. Okay, and originated in the 1800s, but it's actually for leather crafting, which eventually, the paper crafting industry embraced as well. So it was initially used for leather crafting. So again, it was adopted in the 1900s. We always say 1900s, right? So by the 1990s by the craft industry. So the first crafting machines, okay, so the manual one, okay. So roller machines using steel rule dies. All right. So what is a steel rule? Okay, die. All right. So nowadays, most of the dies that you will use, these are actually the dies. So they are normally, as it is, okay, thin, okay, and shaped like the shape of the the one that you want to cut. Okay, so it comes in different shapes, sizes. It can be words, it can be borders, it can be a lot of things. Okay, but in the beginning, okay, so before the advent of the die cutting machine that we actually use right now, okay, so the dies actually, or the one we use for die cutting, used to be this type. Okay, I will show you later how to use it. Okay, but I'll just first show you what a steel rule die, okay, or would look like. Okay, so this is Sizzix from Sizzix. They are one of the first die cutting machine for paper crafters. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's pretty big, bulky. Okay, and there is like a rubber. Okay, which actually houses the steel rule die. So the steel rule die actually, okay, unlike here where you actually could see the die, the old dies, actually the dies are inside. Okay. And this is rubber because when you push it and pressure is added, so the dies would actually go out and then the paper would be cut. Ah, sorry, my daughter is asking what do I want from McDo. All right, so not sponsored. Okay, Big Mac meal. Sorry. All right. So there you go. Oh, I lost. Okay, I lost track because of the meal. Anyways, so this is what it looks like. All right. So just like the ones we have today, it can come in different shapes and sizes. So this is like a what do you call that? A tag or gosh, brain fog again. Anyway, so that's one kind. Okay, so you can have one like that big, or you can have one like this one. This is actually from Tim Holtz. Okay, his earlier results. So you see there is rubber and then the design. So when you press on it in the die cutting machine, okay, so the paper will be cut. Okay, so an example. Okay, I will show you like this one. So after cutting using that, this is what you can get. Okay, again, very similar to what we have right now. It's just that before, okay, so this is what they look like. All right, so bigger, bulkier, okay, but more heavy duty. This can actually cut through, okay, sometimes even, balsa wood, and then also corrugated paper, okay, specialty paper, no worries. All right, so let's go back first to my a brief history. Okay, so now you have advanced electronic and digital die cutting machines with intricate cut capabilities and digital design integration. Right? So it has come a long, long way from just about 2 decades when it started, right? All right. So, fun fact, okay, manual machines actually revolutionized the card making and scrapbooking industry by making precise shapes easier. I don't know if you were here a few days back where I told you the first time I saw a die cutting machine in a store in one of the bigger malls here in the Philippines. I was like so amazed that wow, you can actually cut a shape easily. You don't need to, draw and then cut, fuzzy cut, stuff like that. With just this tool and the die, you can actually create shapes and you can make multiples. That was like I was mind blown and I was stuck, right? So I mean not stuck but hooked. So to speak. That was, the time I really fell in love with dice. All right. So again, Reagan said, I will be able to do 6. Susan was 8. All right. So the important questions food. Yes. Yeah, part of our crafting journey, of course, is food, and I love seeing and learning about different kinds of food and brands from you guys when we're in the chat, especially during crafty fun friends with Lynn, right, on LV Have Crafted's channel. So what is a die cutting machine, right? So I told you a little bit of a history for that one, but a die cutting machine is a tool, absolutely, that cuts shapes, letters, or designs from materials like paper, vinyl, fabric, metal, or even wood. Right? How awesome is that? Okay. So there are two main types. Okay. So the first one is a manual die cutting machine. Okay. So examples of which up to now you still have the Sizzix. It has also, revolutionized its designs as well and capabilities. Okay. The Big Shot, where I actually, I think that's the second machine that I got. Okay. And then you have the Spellbinders Platinum and so on and so forth. These are just some. This is not an exclusive list because there's so many. And then you have the electric or digital machines. Okay, so the electric machines, actually it's like a manual die cutting machine, but instead of you cranking using your own strength to actually push in the die and the material into the machine, it's electric, especially for people like me who is at a certain age where of course we've been crafting for such a long time. So if you've used up your muscles and hand doing the same repetitive things for a long time, so eventually you will have like crafters or artist hand issue. Like I have arthritic hands already. Okay, so cranking for, let's say I have a project that requires me to do like die cutting 200 things. I cannot do that anymore. I would be sick after that, right? But with the advent of the electric die cutting machine, I am able to do a lot of things again. So thank you to the advent of the electric die cutting machine. But if it's just for the show, or I will just create 1 card, 2 cards, 5 cards, 10, it's okay. Cranking is okay. Okay, so and then of course you have the digital ones like your Cricut, your Cameo, your Brothers Gun and Cat. Absolutely. Okay, there's so much options right now. So if you are gonna be a beginner crafter right now, good for you, right? Because it's I don't know if that's good or not because right, because you have so many options. All right, so there. All right. So, next one. Okay. So, now you have that. Okay. So, a manual die cutting machine. Okay. So, the features. Okay. So, it's hand crank mechanism. When you say hand crank, okay, so you use your own strength, your arms, okay, to actually come up with the die cut that you want to do. And it uses steel rule or thin metal dies like the one I showed you. I will show you a little bit later more. And then it's portable and beginner friendly. right? So I will show you some of this in a little bit, all right? Okay, and then also these machines, though they are called die cutting machines, are actually great for embossing. Okay, not the heat embossing type, but the dry embossing, where you actually use embossing folders to create raised or debossed images, right? So it makes your card projects or your paper craft projects even better. All right. And then, of course, examples would be your C6 Big Shot, your Spellbinders Platinum. Okay. And then, of course, if you have had the Evolution, I actually have. Oh, I forgot. I actually have the Evolution, but I wasn't able to put it here. I forgot it in the center. Or maybe I can. Okay, I can get it. Let's see. Let's see later. Okay. Anyway, so now let's go to the electric die cutting machine. These are motorized, and some of them, like the Cricut, Cameo, okay, they do require software. Okay, but the Brothers Gun and Cut can be standalone. We don't need a computer, an iPad, or whatever to make it work. Okay, but for the Cameo and Cricut and some other brands, you do need a software that can be on your phone, on your laptop, or on your iPad. Okay, so some allow, oops, sorry. So some allow custom design upload. You can even upload and cut your own design in Cricut and some other of the electric die cutting machines. Okay, so examples of those that need dies, okay, are the Gemini. Okay, that's what I have. The thing is, the very first one that came out with an electric die cutting machine that I felt was really powerful was the Gemini. I don't know what year exactly. Was it 2016, 2015, 2017? I'm not sure, but somewhere within those dates, those years, it got released. They released first the Gemini regular, so I call that the Gemini mother. All right, and then just a few months, they released the Gemini Junior, and then the Gemini Go, and now they have even newer versions. Okay, but I have those three. So the biggest one, the medium, and the smallest one, which is the Gemini Go. And now they have even revolutionized it and came up with newer variants. Okay. Okay. So here are again the examples. Of course, a lot of our dear friends, I know maybe you have seen a lot of our friends use Empress. Yes, they swear by, how good it is. And it's just, you'll understand why I'm on the fence of buying another die cutting machine. Later, you will see. But one thing that I really feel I do need to get in the future is Brothers Cut and Cut. The only thing that has kept me from getting it for this long is that I love fussy cutting. And if ever I do buy Brothers Cut and Cut, it's for that purpose alone. So that's why I said, am I gonna get it? Am I not gonna get it? So there you go. So up to now, I don't have it. All right. And the list goes on and on. All right. So before we actually do the how to die cut, all right. So let's just go back to the chat for a bit and check, okay, what our friends are saying. All right. And Reagan said the choice may be overwhelming to beginners. Okay. Just like other tech, it pays to do homework and research the capabilities and watch helpful videos like this. Thank you so much, Reagan. Because, guys, for those who are beginners, Reagan and I actually went through that. Okay. And since we've gone through it, we are sharing with you what we have learned in the process. So again, I have placed Reagan's channel in the link earlier on. If my moderator daughter can just put it down again, maybe you can actually look for the actual video adapt that Reagan posted earlier today. I highly suggest that you check that video out as well, especially because the die cutting machines that she showcased there are actually newer ones, right? So mine are a little bit on the retro because, as I said, I have really tried my best not to buy anymore simply because you will see why in a little bit, right? And we have Jana. Did I see Jana? All right. So, oh yes, Jana is here. Hello, hello, friends. Do you see? I every time I see Jana's avatar, I feel so happy because it's such a colorful and beautiful, beautiful design, right? So this is Jana of J Marie Design. Right? Yeah. Yes, she is also a content creator. So if you're a beginner and you're looking for inspiration, absolutely check out Jana's channel as well. She's also part of the design team of so many awesome companies. So you will really find a lot of inspiration on her channel. Up to now, I am still thinking of what I can ask Jana to do because she actually can do anything and every craft that I can think of, right? So don't you worry, Jana. I might be able to think of something other than, of course, singing. Yes, Jana said during our interview with her last year for Vlogmas that the only thing she thinks she can't do is probably sing. Sing in public, anyways. Right? So there, she's saying hi to Reagan as well. All right. So okay, there you go. That I posted a video on the same type of topic where I showcase several machines. Exactly, right? So great minds think alike. And that is super awesome, right? Because now, they can have more inspiration, right? So, with crafting, there is no monopoly. We learn from everybody. And I'm very grateful to you all. So if you do have, some tips for our beginners out there who might find this video somehow, okay, and then because they're beginners, I hope that this really helps you. And please do check out the replay chat because you might also get some tips from our crafters in the chat. All right. That made me smile. I remember, Jana, right? Okay. So let's go back to this one. Okay. So we said that, all right. So, okay, we go to, okay, how to die cut. Okay. So, but before we do that, okay, so I would like to show you how you die cut before. All right. So, my very, very first, remember, you need to take note how many die cutting machines I'll be showing, right? So, let's start with my very, very first die cutting machine. Are you ready for this? All right. This is it, my friend. All right. So this is my very first die cutting machine. I think I got this year 2002 or 2003. Okay, I bought this together with the Sizzix Sidekick. Do you remember there's a Sizzix Sidekick now that's gray? Right? So the initial release was also of the same color, red. Okay, so this is how you actually die cut in the olden days. Right? So to die cut, you need your own strength. And there is a lever. There is a platform, just like our, what we do today. All right. And if you remember, in the olden days, our dies look like this. Right? So they're quite thick. They're steel rule dies because the steel is inside. And if you want we don't have like this kinds of dies before. Okay, so if you want the smaller dies, not the like this die, okay, because even though this is big, there's actually a smaller one, but still thick, right? So these are called your steel rule dies. There's what we call this wafer dies. Right? So it can come in different shapes. This is the letter L. It actually, hold on. All right. So they came in like collections like this. Like this is called Notepad. Okay, so that is the design for this alphabet. So it will give you alphabet like A to Z. A to Z, and then the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and ampersand, right? So you can die cut. So it will normally, sometimes it gives you both the capital and the small letter. Okay. But for this one, it's just the small letter. All right. Or capital letters. So the dice come in like this. So if you have the steel rule die like this, the big one, okay, so the machine does have what we call a converter. Okay, so you put this system converter in if you're working with the thinner die like this, right? So if you're working with the thicker die like this, okay, so you just put in, okay, the platform. Okay, and then you put the paper. Okay, you put in the paper. Okay, that you want to die cut. Okay, and then you put the steel rule die. Okay, making sure that it's actually, okay, inside. Okay, and then you put it on the base, and then you will move it towards this part of your die cutting machine, and then you will pull this down and see with all your might. All right, and then you will move it again and pull it down again with all your might. Okay, it is kind of heavy, right? So I might have body aches tomorrow. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so sometimes just like what we do now, you can do it again and again. And eventually, okay, so you will get your die cuts. Okay, so this is how we used to die cut. All right. So that is for the, thicker steel rule die. Okay, so for the thinner one, all you need to do is to put in the converter. Okay, get a piece of paper, okay, that you want to use, okay, to cut your letter. Okay, we'll do the letter A. You just do the same thing. All right. So the thing is, you don't know. Okay, so you can still use washi tape, but that time there was no washi tape. So I'll show you how we really did it before. All right. So we will just do it like that, and then put it inside, and then pull down again with all your might. Okay, and then hope that everything got cut. All right, so in this case, this was the letter A. Okay, and this is the font. It's so cute, right? But that is how we did die cutting before. All right, so there. Okay, so that's how it was with manual die cutting before. Okay, and then eventually, okay, other machines came. Okay, I will show you the different machines later on. Okay, so the dice became, right now, because the dice are just smaller or bigger, but more or less they are all like this thin wafer dice, right? In before, no, the dice all have either rubber or foam like this, right? The foam is there because you need the die cut element to be pushed out, right? Because the dice before didn't have holes that you can poke so that the paper will eject. So these are ejection foam or the rubber. So that's the purpose of those rubber and the foam. Nowadays, your dies have holes, okay, if they are like big, so that you can poke them and then the image will be ejected. All right, so this is a quick cuts. Okay, this is one of my favorite die cutting. So when it died, almost died, I'll show you, it's still alive. But it was one of my favorites. I have several different alphabets. So look, with one die, you could create, I don't know if you can see it. Okay, so you have several letters. Okay, so let's cover the light. So you have several letters in just one die, right? So, and that is from Quick Cuts. Again, most of the brands you'll see, okay, are no longer here. Okay, so let's go back to, okay, the how to. Okay, so first choose your die. Okay, and material. So it's gonna be paper, specialty paper, and then create the sandwich. Okay, so like what I showed you a while ago. So our sandwich for that machine was the base plate. Okay, and then you needed a paper. Okay, and then the die where the cutting, okay, the steel rule die has to be, okay, facing the material that you want to cut, like so, and then just push. That is how simple it was before. Okay, just the platform, the material, the die. Okay. But nowadays, the sandwich, we call this a sandwich because just like a sandwich, right? So you put one on top of the other before you actually run it through your die cutting machine. Okay. Except for the electric one has the same, right? But it's just a little, they don't have dies, but they have mats and then the material that you want to cut. All right. So that's what a sandwich is. Okay, the layering of the different things that you need to put in the die cutting machine. Okay, and then you crank through the machine. With this machine, it wasn't cranking, it was pulling down the lever. Okay, but nowadays, all the machines are cranked, meaning you have to rotate, do the rotation motion for it to glide. All right. And then finally, remove and enjoy your perfect cut. I hope it's always the same thing. There are many reasons why you may not get perfect cuts. All right. Again, it's the sandwich is very important. The quality of the paper. The more fibrous your paper is, the thicker, of course, the more difficult it is to actually, die cut perfectly. All right. So, additional tip, follow manufacturer's instruction as to the sandwich. Yes, my friends, I've ruined my very first Sizzix sidekick. You know why? B-boy, can you hand me that red thing, baby? I'm asking the help of my son. Yes, thank you, anak. Because this one, and that sandwich, anak, the plates, beside the Gemini. Oh, I think I don't have the sandwich for this or the plates. Anyway, so what I tried to do, my friends, is remember for this one, it was supposed to be only for thin wafer dice like this. All right, if you could see, right? So there's a plate. You would put, it's over there. Anyway, imagine there's a sandwich, there's a plate, and then you would put it like so. But what I did was to try and push something like a steel rule die into it. Of course, absolutely, it wouldn't fit, right? So, okay, I wasn't able to do this. But I think I placed corrugated box, a very, very thick material. I said, no, it can do it. It can do it. Lo and behold, it got stuck and I actually ruined it. So, definitely do check out manufacturer's instructions. But of course, eventually, as crafters, we try to, what if this? What if that? Can this be used for this and that? All right. So, eventually, you can do that. But as a beginner, I highly suggest that, especially if your machine has warranty still, follow manufacturer's instructions first. When your machine is no longer under warranty and you're okay if something happens to it, then you're good to go. Experiment as many as you want, right? So in our case, you can always, what I did was always check out others' videos, right? What Reagan suggested earlier on, so that you hopefully do not make the same mistakes that we did when we were starting. So again, please remember that tip. Okay. And then, how about for electric, right? So for electric, you will load the design in a software or use built-in dies, right? So, actually, for this one, I will show you in an episode that's coming later on, right? So I will do this to coinciding with KCC 19. Yes, Kenja's Card Challenge is a an awesome card challenge where you can create 15 to more than 15 awesome cards with just 6 pieces of pattern paper. So when I started with Kenja's Card Challenges, I used to cut all the pattern papers manually, and even the solid ones, right? And I always make a mistake. That's why I eventually became what I call myself PhD in paper surgery, because I make a mistake almost 100% of the time when I create my full set. So one of the requests I had from Kenjo was, can we have an SVG of the cutting files? And last quarter of last year, that was actually fulfilled, right? So now we have SVGs for those, sketches. And that's how I'm going to be demoing the electric die cutting later on. But basically, this is how you do it. Yes, there is a software. So you do need a computer or a gadget for you to load the app. Okay. And then let the machine cut automatically. All right. Unload and assemble. Do you know that before I actually used my Cricut and my Cameo, it took me 2 to 3 years because I was so afraid of, how the app or what do you call that, how the software works. I didn't know exactly how it is going to work. And so, and that time, there weren't very many content creators that actually do videos. So, I'm a kind of slow learner. I need to see and actually do things a little bit, not just once, twice, more than that. And if I don't get it immediately, I get frustrated. And so those machines got stuck. All right. Until, I came up with, I put up a club where some of the members, actually crafty members, knew how to do it. And so, yes, Eureka, I finally was able to use them. Right. But don't worry, if you just continue watching CEDA Craft Every Day in August, eventually I will show you exactly how you do that with the Cricut, the Cameo, and the what do you call this? I don't have this Brother Scan and Cat though, just for those two. All right. So, and then again, additional tip. I cannot stress this enough. Follow manufacturer's instruction. Okay, as to the sandwich. All right. So here are the do's and don'ts. But first, let me check our dear friends. Okay, in the chat. Okay. What are they saying? Okay, so Sammy said, I found it. There you go. Thank you so much, Anak, for the link. Yes, so please, if you are watching on replay or watching right now or even lurking, all right, so please do check it out. Yes, there you go. And of course, we have my newest crafty BFF, Christelle, here in the chat. Good morning, my friend. How are you? I hope all is well. And of course, Yvette. I am so inspired by Yvette's Aquafit, what do you call this, sessions. So she does it 4 to 5. I've actually tried looking for something similar, Yvette, here. And I'll keep you posted if I find one, because I'm really excited, because I think on top of walking, that is something that I can actually do. I'm way overweight for my height, my friends. I'm pretty small. I'm just 5'1", and never mind. So, but I weigh more than what I'm supposed to, right? So I need exercise. So Yvette is not just an inspiration in terms of crafting, but also for help. By the way, Yvette is Yvette Olea Creates on all the socials. She is also a design team member of several awesome companies that you probably have been using. And if you want more inspiration, please do check out her channel, as well as also her Instagram and other socials. So if you are new and you see the people in the chat, most of them have channels, and you can absolutely find inspiration from all of them. All right, Yvette said we used to have the bigger version of that at the school. Work that. Okay, yes, Yvette actually is a retired teacher, actually principal, higher than that, right? So, oh my goodness. So you know how it was, right, Yvette? Yes, and of course, the cutting of dice. Yes, good morning, Roy. I know Roy has a cricket machine. He has a personal cricket machine. He actually is very crafty as well. And he has a daughter who is very, very creative. Okay, everybody saying hi to everybody. Yes, I know. Cricket Joy. Wow, you even have the Cricket Joy? And neither are in use. Time to start using. Absolutely, Roy. You should. You know, you could use those to create your merch, right? The vinyls to put on your mugs, your shirts. Oh my goodness, Roy. I should really attend. Hopefully, I can attend Creator Camp still this year. And, I will teach you how. That's the first one I used, Yvette. Okay, Susan said, see? We are dating ourselves absolutely here. Bonus points if you hit that like button. Thank you so much, Roy. Yes, I would appreciate it, my dear friends, if you would hit that like button, because when you hit that, YouTube gets notified that, oh, they like this video. So it gets, what do you call this? It gets suggested to others, okay? So thank you in advance for those likes. Okay, we're super expensive. Yes. So it's like the thing is, I know a lot of people may no longer have this because they've destashed it. But I'm so bad at destashing, my friend. So what I do instead of destash is to share. See, sharing is caring. Right? So I put up a club, a crafty club, and whatever you will see later on are actually available for members of my club to use. Okay, I will tell you all about that in a little bit. Oh, thank you so much, Reagan. Thank you, my friend. Read the flipping manual. What do we do, Roy? Actually, I'm so bad at it, right? So I'm so happy that now you don't even need to read the manual, because sometimes even the reading the manual is confusing. So I love watching videos, right? So I thank you for those who create videos on how to do things. Do you know the one of my most viewed video is actually about how to solve or how to get your Alex drawer get unstuck, because I've experienced that. Something fell and then I couldn't close my Alex drawer anymore. And then I couldn't, how am I supposed to remove it? So eventually I learned how and I shared that. And that is actually one of my most viewed videos, right? So we don't know, because some people or a lot of people actually, when they have an issue, they have a problem, how to do this, how to do that, what to do with this, they actually, instead of the manual, they go to YouTube and ask, and they will find your video, right? So there you go. Yes, and yes. Hi, Susan, said Tech Troublemaker. And hi, said Susan. By the way, guys, right? So I would like to invite you later on, right? So that's tonight for you, 9 p.m. Eastern on Roy's channel, Tech Troublemaker, right? So if you want to know how, like, I do things also, like how do I change from this to this to this? And actually, do you know that when I make my videos and when I do my live stream, I just use one thing. All right. So Roy and Jill, a dear friend of ours as well. Okay, we'll be talking about that. Okay, later on tonight on his channel. Okay, so let me see. The SVGs are amazing. Yes, and if you actually get the SVGs from Kendra's Patreon shop, it comes with a tutorial video. And do you know who actually made the video? Yes, dear Yvette in the chat, right? So Yvette will guide you through that video on how to actually use the SVGs to create your awesome cards using Kendra's card, the specific Kendra's card challenge SVGs for that quarter. Right? So thank you, Yvette, for the amazing video. All right. So again, if you get that SVG and it comes with a tutorial, Yvette is the one that you are going to see and hear there. Okay, thanks for the gifted. Yes, it was actually Roy who gifted us 5 memberships yesterday. And of course, we have my dear friend Dinky, Doc Dinky in the house. Hello, hello, my friend. Oh, I could never teach. I started as a school secretary and ended up as an executive assistant. Oh, okay. So you're more in the she's more in the admin stuff. Sorry about that, Yvette, but she does know a lot about teaching. Vicky, hello, hello. Good evening or good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Vicky, thank you so much for dropping by and commenting. I hope that you're enjoying this as much as we are. Run the manual through ChatGPT and have it simplify it for. Oh yes, great idea, Roy. See, you when you have questions about, don't be afraid of Chat GPT, because I've learned so many cool things from Roy, and he talks about that on his channel as well, right? So thank you, Roy, for that reminder. YouTube to the rescue, indeed, right? All right, nowadays you need a manual to find the manual. Yeah, Susan, you need to find the manual to find the manual and decipher the pictures, since many don't contain words. Exactly. And sometimes if it's a product abroad, it may be, it may come in a different language even. Right? So there you go. But Roy said, has a great tip for all of us. Run it through Chat GPT and ask it to explain. But then again, double check, because Chat GPT ain't perfect. And this is actually Malu. Okay, she is a dear, dear friend of mine. She's my mentor. She is an absolute, woman of the faith, and I love her dearly. And Malu, this whole series of Craft Everyday in August, where I focus on beginners, okay, and basics of the craft, is actually inspired by you. Yes, my friends, this is Malu, and she was the inspiration for this whole series, because lately she has decided to actually take on paper crafting and card making. And she has a lot of beginner questions. And so I know that she is also going through something, and maybe we are not able to meet as often as we would want to, but she can always watch this video. So this whole series is dedicated to you, my dear friend Malu. All right. Hello, Mommy Lala. Hi, Wims. Good evening. Good evening. Wims is another content creator here in the Philippines. Okay, that you may want to follow. She is an amazing artist, crafter. She is very similar to Jana. She can do everything. All right. All right. So moving. Going on to the next one. Oh, sorry. This one. Okay, moving on. The do's and the don'ts. I already mentioned to you one of the do's. Read and follow manufacturer's suggestion on the sandwich. Do you know that in the beginning, because I actually found and read through my Big Shot, that they didn't suggest or encourage us to put so many dies at the same time when we die cut. They wanted us to use it one die, one pass at a time. I said, whoa, really? We seldom do that now, unless it's really, really small, right? Okay, but then again, if your tool or your machine is under warranty, I highly suggest that you do follow, okay, the manufacturer's instructions. All right? Especially if it's electronic, make sure that it's the same power requirement as where you are. So here, I'm in the Philippines, we're in Southeast Asia, and our power source is 220 volts, right? So if you are in the US, you are 110 volts. So I do have, from some of my travels, have bought some of the machines from there. And I think I was live when I did that. My Mink machine, I had the large Mink machine. Okay, I used a step down transformer, but with not enough wattage. So it's like I started smelling something burning, and then I realized, oh my goodness, my step down transformer was, not really in flames, but there were fumes coming out of it. And I panicked so much. So again, check, right? Check first, right? So it's very important, all right? And of course, use the correct sandwich, okay? So sandwich is, we call it a sandwich because you stack it together like when you make a sandwich, right? So you have your, one of the, maybe if you have, you will make, let's say, a bun or a sandwich. So one of the, what do you call that? A slice, yes, maybe. Brain fog. Anyway, and then you probably put your patty, and then you probably want to put some lettuce, and then you want to put, some pickles, you want to put some whatever, right? So, and then the other bread. Okay, so in this case, when you die cut, sometimes we want to not just cut but emboss, right? So we have a different sandwich for that. And different machines. Just because you say you have a machine that you got, okay, and then you bought another one or you borrowed one. Okay, oh, this is how I did it in my machine. I'm going to do the same. No, because different manufacturers, different machines may have different ways of, the sandwich, how you put them together. All right. So again, okay, I can't stress that enough. Read the manufacturer's manual. If you don't want to read, look for videos, not just one. Go through several. That's why I said, check out Reagan's video as well. Because maybe I may not have explained it as clearly, but maybe you would find that, oh, that's the one I have, the one that Reagan has. So you will, it would be more relevant to you. So, check out other videos and see which one would be best for you. And of course, you also need to clean your dies regularly, especially if you use, let's say, adhesive. Let's say, if you die cut sentiments where they're very intricate, so they're cursive, they're very tiny, they're very thin. So you put an adhesive at the back, okay, of the paper, so that when you die cut, you don't need to put adhesive anymore. So you had a double-sided adhesive there on top of the paper or at the back of the paper. So in time, the adhesive from, the tape that you use, the double-sided tape, would actually adhere as well to the machine. So you always have to clean as you go. CAYG. There you go. Okay. And of course, you need to store your plates flat to avoid warping. Okay, I will show you that in a little bit. All right. So again, it says, right, user's manual. Okay. And of course, the style guides. Okay. Why is there a style guide here? Sorry, my friends. Ignore that one. Okay, because that is from the template. All right. Next, okay. Don't force thick materials. Okay. So even with the current die cutting machines that we have right now, they're super awesome. And some, except if your machine is one that you can adjust the height. I do have a machine like that, but I am not able to show it to you because there's no more space. Okay, but it's gosh, what is it called? I forgot. But it's a local manufacturer. I forgot the name. But anyway, so you can adjust, just like Gina K's die cutting machine where you can adjust the height, right? So it's something like that. But otherwise, if the die with the paper and whatever it is doesn't really want to go through, then stop. Stop. Okay? Because you might break your die cutting machine. Okay? So don't skip test cuts. Okay? Especially if it's the electric or the digital ones. Okay? Because especially if you're working with, let's say, a specialty paper and you only have one of that, and then if you make a mistake, let's say you're making a box, all right, and you need 4 sides, and then you made a mistake in the cutting. So now what will you do, right? So you're not going to be able to come up with the project that you want. So test cut is very important. All right. And then you can use washi tape or low tack tape. Okay. So what are washi tapes or low tack tapes? Okay. So let's show you. Okay. So this one, okay, is a washi tape. Okay. So this is an example of a sandwich for a current machine. Okay. So a newer one, okay, than the one I showed you earlier. This is for actually the Gemini Junior. Okay, so it comes, okay, so first sandwich is the one of the plates. Yes, Okay, highly loved. Okay, yes, well loved. Okay, and then normally, okay, you just after that you use the plastic shim. Okay, shim. So it means to make it a little bit thicker. Okay, and then they suggest that you use the magnetic shim after, because most of the dies that we have again right now are like this, right? So they are thin wafer dies. Okay, so since this is magnetic, so what I do is, you can put down, okay, the die that you want. Make sure that the image, okay, or the cutting side is facing up. Okay, otherwise you will cut your magnetic plate, right? So there you go. Okay, so this is the sandwich. Okay, so I'm putting down several. All right, and then on top of that should be your paper. Okay, so let's say this one. Okay, and then or your medium. Okay, and then if you are doing intricate dies, you put a metal shim. Okay, and then the last sandwich. Okay, but then normally this is what you need. My machine is what? Almost 10 years old, right? And because I've been using thick materials, cutting materials, so the pressure ain't the same anymore. So I normally add this rubber shim in between. All right. So, oh, I actually went live on Instagram. Oh, okay. All right. So I didn't know. I thought I didn't have Instagram. All right. So let's open up. Okay. So this is the Gemini Junior. Okay. All right. So again, this is one of the earliest, okay, releases of this. Whoop. Okay. What happened? Okay. There you go. It focused now. Okay. And then all you need to do is just put it in through and it will just move. How nice. See, all my hands are here, or my two hands are here, right? And so that's why I love electric die cutting machine. And there you see that it has already cut. Okay? So that is okay. So that's how you use it. Okay, so here are our cuts now. So you have your circle, you have your star, and you have this. Okay, so you already have the three shapes that you have already die cut. Okay, so that is how you actually do it. Okay, and again, machines, they just open like so. Some machines have like a special button that you turn on and off at the back first before you do this. Again, different manufacturers, different instructions on how to do it. Okay, now let's go back to that instruction. Okay, where I show you that. Okay, so when I forgot to show you. I did that and didn't show you. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to that. See, my mind. I have the memory of a fish. Okay, my name should be Dory instead. Let's say you have a very small paper. Okay, so you want to use up your scraps, right? And so if you have like an almost exact paper, okay, sometimes it will move. But this one though, it has a magnetic shim. So it's quite nice that it's not gonna move, but sometimes it can. So one thing you can do, okay, as said here, is to use a low tack tape or a washi tape. So this is what it looks like. Normally the washi tapes, very affordable, comes in different sizes, thin, thick, color, design, what have you. Okay, so there's many use for that. Okay, and then I just flip it because I want the flat side, not the cutting side, on the magnetic, and then you run it through your machine. Okay, so I'll just run it through here. Okay, so that's the nice thing, especially if you are trying to use up or you're die cutting several designs. Okay, so if you make a mistake, okay, so it's nice that you have See, it's still in place, right? So you just remove that. Okay. And if you can see, it didn't break or tear my paper. So what I do is I normally either put it on my finger like that, or I would put it on my machine like so. All right. And I can reuse, or at the side of my table. Okay. So that I can still reuse until it doesn't stick anymore. All right. So that one. And then the next one is rotate plates. Okay, why? Okay, I want to show you why. Okay, I just have to make sure that they're together because later on I might say, where is this? Where is that? You know, I'm known for losing things. Okay, when I am live. All right. So why do you need to rotate plates? Okay. So I've shown you that this is what, these plates look like. They're quite nice because they're fairly new compared to what I'm going to show you, right? So although this is well loved, but look at the plates, they are not so warped because what I do is every time I pass it through, okay, I would flip and rotate. So if you can see, very little warping. Okay, very little. So if I put it this way first, the next time I put it in, I'll do like this, like that, like. And then there are some crafters who actually, do other things. Okay, but I've not tested it, so I will not tell you what it is. But if you would go to the internet, you will find a lot of other things that you can use to prevent the warping. Okay, but this is what I'm gonna show. Look at this magnetic shim. Absolutely, I need to retire it. It's already broken. It's falling apart, right? So I actually use this for Vlogmas, and like the people in the chat said, Lala, change it. You need to change. Yes, all right. So look at this one. So don't be afraid if you are a beginner, and even if it's the first time that you use your plates, and then eventually you see, oh no, why did it bow like this? Right? It's just my first pass, my first try, and it looks like this, especially if you use a bigger die, right? And let me see if I have one here. I'll show you. Because there are dies that are quite big, right? So it would normally not pass through, the regular die cutting machines like this. You need a bigger one. And those normally, it's bigger. It can actually warp your plates faster. So one of the things that I use is, this is a cutting mat that has like a metal inside. Okay, because there are those that do not have, just plastic or rubber. So the one I suggest, if you want to use, this is a hack. Don't use this if your machine is still under warranty. Again, do not use this or do this if your machine is under warranty. Before the advent of the Magic Mat, right? Now we have Magic Mat. Before the advent of Magic Mat, I've been using this already. So the Magic Mat has a very similar concept, right? But this one is just from a dollar store. Okay, for us here in the Philippines, it's just from Divisoria. It's like a place where we buy cheap stuff, right? But okay. So this is what I use. Okay, so to prevent the warping, I add this instead of one of the plates. And it makes my plates last longer. But then this is not advisable when you do intricate cuts, like a lot of swirls, and because it's not, the pressure ain't the same. But if you're just doing regular shape cuts, lines, and stuff like that, this is absolutely a game changer for me. If you have an access to a Magic Mat, why not? Because the Magic Mat, they tell you which one, if your machine is like this and like that. This one, I did like, I had to test, okay, based on the machines that I have. Okay. So, change it. So after you use it this way, the next time you pass it through the machine, you flip it. Okay, and of course, always try to clean this because this indentations, these markings, eventually may also show on your paper, right? And if you are working on a project that you don't want those, then maybe it's time to actually change your plates, right? Because it does, sometimes show up on your paper. So, and another thing is, I normally make one of the plates, what do you call this, under, right? So the cutting blade was always on one of the plates, not on the other. So one of my plates lasts longer, and after that one, as this one is, I had to throw it away because it can't be used anymore. Then the one that is beneath this one is the one that I use now for the top. Okay, so that when I need to change a plate, I change just one at a time if I really need to. Okay, why do I go through a lot of plates? Nowadays I don't do it anymore, but when I was younger and I didn't have kids yet, I used to do commission projects for like weddings, invitations, events, stuff like that. And I would normally get like, I need 300 pieces, 500 pieces, stuff like that, right? So that's why I really there will come a time where your plates really need to be replaced. Look at this. When your dies have cracked like this, absolutely you need to replace them. This can actually ruin the rollers of your machine. So when they're like this anymore, don't use it. Okay, it can actually ruin your rollers. Okay, this one's can. So you look, it has absolutely cracked already. Okay, but before it did, it has gone through tons and tons and tons of project. All right. So let me check on the chat and what you guys are saying. All right. So, okay, that was Wims. Okay, Sammy saying hi to Wims. And think of it as sandwiching your paper between plates. There you go. What a great analogy, Yvette. Okay, Yvette really thinks critically. That's why she is my favorite cheatmate on MCA. When I can no longer understand, or if I have an issue with the instructions, I would always ask Lynn to, can I see what Yvette is doing? And I would cheat on Yvette, right? So there you go. Again, that's Malu, my dear friend. Okay, and Reagan said they are consumable products. Yes. So definitely we can try to lengthen its life, but these are the things that definitely in time you need to replace. And most of the time they try to make it not as expensive, right? So that it's easier for you to actually replace it. So that's a great tip from Reagan, that when you buy your machine, there are consumables in the machine, and yes, definitely you need to replace those. Okay, but the machine itself, you will see in a little bit that all of the machines you will see today are still actually working except for one. And that machine has never worked from day one. Okay, I tried getting replacement and stuff, didn't work. That's the only machine that I really had a problem with. Yeah, I'm saying hi to Sammy. All right, so moving on to the next one. Okay, so rotating the plates and then try embossing folders with manual machines. Okay, so what are embossing folders? Okay, as I said, the die cutting machines are not just used to die cut. They are actually also embossing machines. Okay, I'll show you. Let me see. Let me get one. Okay. So this is Crafter's Companion, the maker of the Gemini. Oops. Okay, so it's an embossing folder. Okay, so embossing means, it's raised, right? So deboss, it goes down, right? So the thing with this is, if you have embossing folders like this, okay, so when you use something like this, we call it dry embossing. Although there are several techniques with dry embossing, you can ink it as well. We will talk about that. I'm not sure if I can go through it with the basics this year. Maybe in Vlogmas, because I have something else lined up already. So what you do is you put hold on. I will get a piece of cardstock. Okay, say like this. Okay, so you get a piece of cardstock and you sandwich it. Now you see that there are actually some of them in the earlier versions of a die cutting of an embossing folder. They didn't have that. So, but now you can have that. So you can create like strips. You can pull it out like that. So it can be longer. Okay, but for this one, let's say it's like that. right? So just like your die cutting machine, I mean your die when you were die cutting, okay, it's the same way. But most embossing folders, okay, um, it has an issue if you use the electronic. Okay. So with these kinds, I normally would suggest using the manual. And for me, the manual machine that I use exclusively for embossing folders is my Cuttlebug. That's my only use for Cuttlebug. I've had it forever. Okay, B-Boy, can you give me that sweet pie? Beside the food, there's die cutting machine. That's that one. All right. So that's the cuttle bug. And if you can give me the plates to that one beside the McDonald's food as well. All right. So because with the die cutting machine that's electric, it's kind of hard, especially the dry embossing folders. Sometimes there's even the 3D one, the 3D embossing folders, and they're very, very thick. And most of the time, the electric die cutting machines, they don't want that. But with the manual one, so this is another die cutting machine. So the thing with this, it has this like suction, rubber suctions at the bottom. And since I have a glass mat, so when you open it up, okay, it will somehow, stick to the bottom so it won't move. Okay, and then it comes with a base plate. Okay, and then it comes with other different things, right? Okay, so it comes with this one is the okay, what do you call this? The one of the cutting plates. There you go, the cutting plate. And it can also have like a metal shim, okay, a rubber mat for embossing with the dice. If you want to turn your dice, okay, but that's not very basic anymore, right? So I actually have a class, a master class in Lynn's channel, LV Handcrafted, because we did have the Stretch Your Supply series. It's a masterclass series on how you can actually use your dice, your stamps, your stamps, dice, stencils, and many other things, okay, other than what they're supposed to do. So it's 5 ways to actually use it beyond what they're supposed to do. So I actually did a series on dice, right? So how I turned the dice into, stencils and so many other things, right? So that is available on Lynn's channel if you are interested in a little bit more advanced. But again, this is more of, what do you call this? Basics, right? So it does have, different kinds of shims that you can use. All right. So this is what happens if you put your die cutting, your blades, okay, on the wrong side. So I actually accidentally cut my rubber mat. Okay. And don't worry, it still can be used. All right. So you check out. Okay. So you need to check, where's the paper? Okay. So the plates, see, if I put only this and this, let's see. Okay. See? It passed through without even a pressure. So it means that it will not be embossed. There has to be a little bit of, tightness in between. Okay, so I need to look for, a sandwich, okay, for it. Okay. So how about sometimes I just use paper. Okay. So, okay. So there you go. So it, when I push it like that. Okay. So this one has like a lever on the sides, right? So, and then when you're not using, you can tuck it in. This is absolutely a discontinued product. You cannot find that anymore. See, now I'm just, cranking it, okay, and it went through. Okay, so sometimes you wanna do that several times. Okay, so your shims, you can work with additional papers. You can bring in like this one. That was as a rubber mat. It's up to you. Okay, what you want to use. Now look at the result. Look at that awesome result. Okay, you can't see it properly, so maybe I will ink it just a little bit so that you can see it. Okay, so let's just get a little bit. Okay. Okay. So that you will just be able to see, okay, what it looks like. Okay. Okay, it's actually a Christmas, a cute Christmas scene. Okay, because or something that you can do is to actually, you can, where is that? Oh, but it's white on white, so it cannot. Okay, sometimes I actually, what do you call that? Use sandpaper. Okay, so you see, you can see now the image. All right, so at the back you'll see, okay, the debossed side, the embossed side. Okay, so again, your die cutting machines can also be used as an embosser, okay, with the use of an embossing folder. So embossing folders come in different sizes as well. Okay, so these are, okay, like Sizzix embossing folders, the smaller ones. Okay, these are Tim Holtz. You can see, you can actually have like two of that in just one. So embossing folders come also in different sizes, right? So different manufacturers, different sizes, and some are 3D. Okay, do I have a 3D here? Um, Let me see if it's here. There should be one here. Hold on. Okay, a 3D embossing folder. All right, I cannot find. All right, here. Okay, I just want to show you what a 3D embossing folder looks like. Look at how thick this one is compared to this. Do you see? Okay, I don't know if you can see. It's like double the thickness, right? But this one, you would have like, it's 3D because it really, really feels like, whatever it is supposed to be, like this one, like real wood. Okay, so the nice thing about that Cuttlebug and that manual die cutting machine is that it's so easy to, find the sandwich. Okay, that's and that my only purpose for that machine really right now is for embossing. All right, so there you go. So next one. Okay, so Mommy Lala's picks. Okay, but before I tell you that, now this is the time where I will showcase, okay, the different machines that I actually have. So did ask earlier on, my friends, if you were not here earlier on, I asked, okay, so how many die cutting machines do you think I have in front of me right now? This is not all. There are several. I forgot that I have the Evolution. It's not here. And there are maybe two or three that's not here. All right. So the winner, there's no prize, just bragging rights that you are able to come up with the right guess. All right. So I will now turn the audio into this. Let me check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hi, hi, hello. Yes? Okay, I'll wait in the chat if you guys can hear me. Okay, we have Judy. Hi, Judy. Good morning, my friend. Hope you are feeling better or feeling well. Yvette said, I don't even use my Gemini anymore. I use my Platinum 6 for embossing, glimmer, and better press. Yes, that's one of the benefits of the spell. You know, Yvette, I hated the Platinum. I don't have the Platinum 6. I have the very big Platinum because it's so hard to crank it. I don't know if it's just the one that I bought. Maybe others aren't as hard, but it's so difficult to crank it. Right? But when they released, okay, the glimmer and then eventually the better press letter press, I was so happy because I don't need to look for the perfect sandwich, right? Although I can use it with my Big Shot, my Sidekick, and others, but no brainer. If you have a Spellbinder's Platinum, then you're good to go with your Glimmer and your better press letter press. So for those who are beginners, what is she saying? Don't worry, I'll get to introduce that to you in a later episode this week. This month. But that is so true, Yvette. So true. Okay, and Reagan said, I've heard great things about the Empress. Yes, everybody swears by it. So, but you will understand why I'm on the fence of getting another one.
I'll probably look at the Empress. Absolutely. Although I did get to try the Sizzix one. Okay, one of my dear partner stores let me borrow in one of the shows, and I actually feel that it's like very much like the Empress. I think it's they call it the Sizzix switch. Is that what you call it? I forgot the name. Okay, Santa Jeff brings me an Empress. Hello, hello. Have you been good this year, Jana? That's the question. Yes, but it's true, right? Jana and I very similar because my issue is my spine. So it can start with my hand. Eventually, it bothers my spine because I have a C3, C4, C5 impingement. So really cannot do manual die cutting anymore. All right, so maybe 10, Wim said. Okay, let's see. Okay, a lot. Or 12? Just one. Okay. Oh, so you can hear me. Okay. All right. So I'm using lapel now as I'm going to go through. Okay. How about
This one. Okay, I need to also
change to this one? All right. Okay. So let's go through this one first. Okay. So, but before we do that, can I have I gone through everybody? Okay, yes, you can hear me. Yes, yes. And Sammy is back. All right. So with that, okay, I'm now gonna go over onto that side and show you the machines that so you saw two, right? So the both the Sizzix one, bali three. So the Gemini Junior, the very first Sizzix, okay, and then the Sidekick. Oh, I forgot to show you this one.
okay, before I move on to there. Okay. This one, my friends. Okay, so where is that? Okay, let me see if I have it here. All right. Okay, so do you know that this is a die cutting machine tool? It is, my friend. Okay. Let me see. I'll just go get it. I'll grab it. Okay. So this is called a Sizzix puddle punch. Okay, it's still by Sizzix. It's like a hammer, but the edges are made of rubber. And this one can be replaced. Okay, so you can actually buy, I still have excess of this, right? So, yeah, I'm a hoarder. So I still have a replacement for the heads, right? So what you do is you get your paper. Okay, so let's check this one. So, and then instead of just the regular dice, this is what the dice would look like. Okay, so it comes in different shapes. You have butterfly, right? So it's called a puddle punch. So this one's like a splat. Okay, so this one is a small star. Okay, this one is a foot, stuff like that. Okay, so and then this one has a flat side and a side where you can actually use to hold it, right? So what you do is to so this is actually the cutting element. Okay, so what you do is you go grab your paper. Okay, you put it on like so, wherever you want, and then you just hold on to it. This is a self-healing mat. Okay, make sure that I suggest you use the floor. This is an IKEA table where the legs are just on both sides, so I will not hammer this. I will just pretend that I'm hammering on it. Okay, so hold on to it like so and hammer away. Hammer, 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 hammer. Okay, so make sure that when you hammer, you do it all around, not just on one side. Otherwise, you will have like an impartial cut like this. See, it didn't cut fully because I didn't like hammer on that side. But what it would look like is something like this. So after you have gone through it, so you will see that it will cut the paper. So that is actually this part. So that is your die cut. And you will just push it and then slowly, slowly, okay, push it out. So the thing is, that's why before there was ejection foam. Because if there is no ejection foam, all right, so sometimes the paper gets stuck and it can rip, right? So just very, very slowly, okay, pull it out, and there you have your shape. Okay, so that is what it looks like. Okay, this is another one that I cut. So a different color, a darker blue, lighter blue. Okay, so that's another die cutting, okay, concept with a physics puddle punch. Yes, absolutely discontinued. Right? So I'm not sure, okay, how many people still have their puddle punch. All right, so let's now go to the die cutting machine. Okay,
My table of die cutting machine. Again, I have been crafting for over 4 decades. This is not something I've gone and have like in an instant. It took me years to actually get this, and I started. I'll show you how, which one is the earliest down to the latest. Actually, I have no machine that is like very recent. All my machines are actually old, right? So my latest is the uh, Cricut Maker 2. All right, so now it's 4, right? So I just have the 2 and the, what do you call this? Another, although I actually have all the versions of the Sizzix before I wove there. Okay, I forgot. I wanted to show
you that one. Okay, so the electric, nowadays you have an app, right? Before, your Cricut machines actually don't have that. What you have is like a screen on the Cricut, and then you have this, right? So that you put, okay, so you will replace every time that you will, it's like there's a keyboard on the machine, and then every time that you have a new like set of, cutting dies. Okay, so you will put this on there. Okay, and then you will put like this cartridge over there, and then what you see here, if you press H, it will cut that kind of H if you want a character. So this is how, it was done before, and it comes with a booklet of what, it would look like and how to come up with, with that. So that's what it looks like. Okay, so I still have that machine. Right? So, and I have a lot of these things, right? So that is how it looks like, the very first few electric, okay, cutting machines from Cricut. So it came with like a cartridge. Okay, like so. This is word collage, right? So different themes as well. Okay. So finally, let's go. All right. So I hope you can hear me. Oops, oops. No. Okay.
we will go to this. Okay, now you can hear me. Okay, as I walk through to this part. Okay, so hold on. I think I should, because, you know, I will wear my handy dandy apron. Okay, so let me see. How could I do this? Okay, guys, I'm just, you can still hear me, right? So I'm just putting on my apron. Okay, I am trying to put on my apron. Okay, because I want to cover my tummy because it's very big. All right. Okay, okay. Now I'm wearing my apron and I'm heading over to the table of die cutting machines. Okay, so now okay, so the camera will follow my hand. Okay, so this is a Sizzix, okay, big kick. Before the big kick, there was the big shot. Okay, okay, so the big shot first, and then you had the big kick. Okay, and this one, B-boy, can you give me some of those that are on the table, the long dice? Okay, so it came with, so you can, that came, but you can buy this add-on. So if you want to create, they're on the table. If you want to create, let's say, borders, okay, so they have border dice.
The Sizzix ones?
No, the longer ones that can fit here.
A longer
Yes,
one?
there. Right? So you still have a base plate, and then you have cutting plates, but this is specifically, okay, for borders, right? So they also sell dies, okay, that look like like this. It's longer, okay. So this didn't come part of the machine, okay, but you can get it as an add-on. Okay, so what you will do is you put the paper, then you put your die. Okay, so this is for like the border like that. You put the die, and then you will run it through your die cutting machine. Okay, you will crank it. Okay, but normally, okay, so it can, there are many other shapes like borders that you can use. There's one for Christmas, there's scallop ones, there's so many. And I still have a lot of this, right? So members of my club, they can actually use all of this and play with it when they go to the center. Okay, so it will crank like that. Okay, so and then you have, so the C6 Big Kick and the C6 Side Big Shot can actually share the same plates. Okay, so that one or this one, where is that? Okay, so this one can be used for this one and for this one. I think this and my Gemini have been the most used, okay, because I used this for a very long time before I actually upgraded. Okay, so the platforms can come, this is the extended platform. Normally your machine would come with a half of it, okay, but I like the extended because I can also, do bigger dice and longer dice. So it's, it works both ways perfectly. Na, if I want to use longer dice, I can. If I want to use bigger, I can. Unlike if you have just the smaller platform, you can only do the shorter ones, right? So if you can see, these ones also, they have like things that you can flip, okay? These are the shims, okay? So not me, my hands, okay, my hands, okay, camera, my hands, all right. All right, so it will tell you how you're going to layer it. So platform first with two tabs open, close, and then your cutting plate, okay, and then your die, and then your material, and then cutting plate again. So it shows you what kind of die and how to layer it. Okay? You don't need to open your manual because it's there already. Okay? Now, if you have thinner dies, okay, so this is what you do. So you flip that out, you'll just run it through like so, and then you can proceed again with die cutting. All right? So it does have different shims depending on what you want to do. Okay, so they know that we hate manuals, so they actually printed it onto the plates. Okay, and I used this for over 10 or 15 years before I moved on to other die cutting machines. And there are new versions of these. Okay, so there's new Big Shot. I think the side kick they no longer manufacture, but they release newer. Look at the color. Okay, the color now is gray, and they have the bigger ones, the XL, I think, right? So the bigger ones. This is still the smaller one, the bigger ones. All right. So B-boy, help mommy. Okay. So this one po, remove. Okay, so we will try to remove. Okay. Okay, put it there muna, baby. All right, thank you, my love. All right, so I can have more space. I will remove. Okay. All right, next up. Okay, next up is ching, hands. Ooh, go down, go down. All right. So next up, you can see my McDonald's there. Okay, next up is the spellbinders. Okay, there was no spellbinders, the Platinum 6 before. Only this. So when they released the Platinum, this was it. Okay, so it's the big one. Okay, so it's for a 12, what do you call this? Not 12, but hold on. Okay, so this one is actually 8. 8 inches, the width, okay? And, okay, I'll show you, okay. And then prior to the spellbinders, okay, none of, anyway, the ones that I have, none of the base plates, none of them have magnetic platforms. Whoop. Come on, follow. Okay, so none of them have the magnetic platform. Okay, everything was just the regular one where you have to put tape. Okay, so if you have a die, okay, so do I have one here? Okay, baby, can you get me a die? Okay, hold on. If I have one here, can you give me a die? Is there a die here? Okay, here. For example, this one. Okay, so if I have a die here, it's magnetic, right? So if you don't have, you have to, like, use washi tape and stick it. That's why I love that they were the very first that I have anyways that came up with the magnetic platform. So this is the regular size one. Okay, so and also just like the CEDA, it tells you how to sandwich, how to use this one. So you put first your magnetic platform, your standard cutting plate. So okay, so this is it, and then your cutting plate. Okay, where's the cutting plate? Okay, so this one, and then you put the paper, and then you put the die. Okay, so let's say this is your paper, okay, and this is your die. All right, and then okay, so your standard, and then, okay, your next, your other, okay, let's pretend it's not yet cut. Okay, and then your other plate. Okay, so spellbinders. That's how, and then you will run it through. Okay, like either this way or, okay, or this way. Okay, since it's 8 inches wide, you can do it that way, or you can do it this way. That's the nice thing about this platinum. It's very sturdy, heavy duty. Again, the only thing I don't like about this is when I crank it, it's very hard to crank it, especially if I use like a bigger die. Okay, so this is the standard, right? So now you have what, okay, they came, since this is big, right? You can put more stuff in, right? Imagine this is just half, okay, the size. Okay, the regular platform, and this is the bigger platform. So it's like almost twice this of the size of this. And this is also magnetic. Okay? No, 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 no. This one is not. This is not magnetic. Okay? I'm not sure if they came up with a magnetic for the bigger one, but the magnetic one is the smaller one. Okay, so this is not, but then this one you can put more stuff in. Okay, and of course, it has a bigger cutting plate as well. All right, so that was the Spellbinders Platinum. All right, B-boy, help me, mommy. Sit by. All right, and of course, the Spellbinders Platinum also has add-on plates. You have like an embossing. Bob? Okay, sorry. Okay, you have an embossing plate. Okay, and what do you call this? This one as well. All right, so that's for the Spellbinders Platinum. Okay, so I will just ask my son to remove this because it's heavy. Okay, baby, can you remove the Spellbinders? All right, okay. Now, let's move on to, okay, so compared to the Spellbinders, okay, if I am not going to be using my Glimmer or my Better Press letterpress, this is a better die cutting machine for me because this one glides and cuts like butter. It's like there is no force. All right, so the original one that I have of this one is actually from Spellbinders. But this brand is actually Fun Stamper's Journey. But it's exactly the same as my Cherry Spellbinders. Okay? So before there was a red one, and it's from Spellbinders, and it's cherry, and it's the same thing. So you have 4 plates. So you see different manufacturers, different plates. So you have, and it has a name. Say a base plate, 8.5 by 12. All right. So you can actually put here, what do you call this? Your letter size, no worries. Okay. So there you go. Your C, this is if you want to emboss, so you put your base plate, embossing plate. Okay, if you want to cut, okay, so you just use A and C. All right, if you want adapter, you want to make it a little bit thicker, then you have an adapter. So that's how it is used. Okay, and this one has this like lever. So what you do, just like with the Cuttlebug, it has a rubber bottom so that if you want, if you're go before you cut, okay, so what you do is put it on a surface where it's not porous, non-porous like this smooth table or a glass, and then just pull this one, okay, and then it will suction, the suction will stick it to the table so that when you're using it, it's not gonna move, see? Okay, and then you just pull this. Here, it actually shows you how to also, you know, do the, there's an illustration of how to do the sandwich just like so as well. So you put it like that. So you see, this is big, right? So you can put so many here, like the ones that you have for your Empress and stuff like that. So just like the Platinum, okay, it can, you know, you can cut more than one at a time. All right? So that is your stamper's journey. All right. So that is basically, okay, the bigger die cutting machines. All right. This is one of my very favorites. Okay. So this is a Quick Cuts Revolution, not Evolution. This is a Revolution machine. It came with a very, very nice container. So basically what it has, remember the die I showed you earlier? So the dies come like this. There's an ejection foam, okay? And then the cutting plate is this one. And the base is this one, okay? And the dies are always square. So all you need to do is just slide that die in, cutting side up. It's magnetic, right? So it's not gonna move, okay? And then you just, you know, you just add the paper. I will just pretend that I added it because I already die cut it. And then you put it like so, and then you run it through, okay? It will glide, okay? Let's say, kunwari, I put it already like that, all right? After that, okay, once it doesn't move anymore, it stops, okay? And then you get it, okay? So in this case, this is what, okay, I already did it earlier. This is what it looks like, okay? They have very, very nice dies, okay? This is from Quick Cuts, okay? And then you have those. If you want, you can, you know, inlay. You cut another color, and you can inlay those with your die cuts, right? Very beautiful, right? So this is the Revolution machine. Again, one for museum purposes. Because it's no longer available. So the only thing you need here is this. And because since it's just acrylic matte and it's actually just a square, I actually was able to ask one of the suppliers here in the Philippines to create me a mat. They just took the original one because I couldn't find or couldn't buy anymore because it was discontinued. So I was still able to use this despite that. The only thing now is just, I think the mechanism itself is already, what do you call that? It has flattened out, you know, the gears. I have, because I used it so many times, the gears are no longer like, it's like they're flattened. No more bite, so to speak. So it's harder to actually, you know, crank it. Okay, so another one, die cutting that I have, so we're going smaller. Okay, so when I teach, so I used to teach scrapbooking in the malls or in stores. So when I do so, I bring my own stuff, right? Do you remember the days where you had to bring our rolling carts when we teach or when we craft, right? So these are the ones that I carry along with me. So just like the others, I like ones that have, you know, suction. This is the Spellbinders Sapphire, okay? You just push it like that, so it's not gonna move. Okay, open. So when you have very small dies, like the one I showed earlier on, like this one, okay? So when you have smaller dies like this, if you use a bigger die cutting machine, it takes you a long time to crank. That's why I love the smaller ones because you don't need to crank a lot, okay? So it does come with its own plate, so it's smaller but longer. So it tells you base plate, okay, embossing plate, okay, and then of course your cutting plate. This is the cutting plate. Look, it's well loved, right? But do you know that I have not changed this? This is still the original plates, my friends. I'm sorry, the chat, I will get back to you, okay, in a bit. It's just that I cannot see it exactly. All right, so there you go. So I'm out of the frame. So the camera went back to the painting. Okay, come on. Here, here, here. All right, there you go. So what you do is you go to the base plate, you put your dice there. Okay, so, okay, because I don't have enough paper, that's okay. And then you just put the cutting plate like so. And then you run it through the machine. The thing is, it's very, very small, right? So you don't, it's absolutely smaller than the Scout, right? But it's mighty because it can actually cut really well, right? So there you go. So you already have. So when you want to die cut, just small stuff. Okay, like this, tiny images, tiny stuff, tiny letters. You don't need to use the big one because for the big one, you have to crank a lot. And of course, this is very handy. Okay, so this is the Spellbinders Sapphire. Okay, of course, I'm sure this is no longer available. Okay, and then the next one, sometimes, yes, I want tiny, but I want something a little bit wider so I can, sometimes we have dice that are a little bit bigger, right? So again, this one has, okay, so it has two plates. One is thicker, one is thinner, okay, at the A and B, and then it has a magnetic shim as well. So just like what we did before, just put it like so, put the paper, okay, let's say pretend there's paper, and then you glide it through like so. So very similar, okay? It's just that this one is wider if you would look at the plates. See? Okay, thinner, same height, but thinner, wider. So if you have small but wider, let's say circle, okay, so this can do 2-inch circle, this cannot. Okay, so sometimes this is also nice to have. And it's also very, what do you call this, easy to carry. All right, so now we're moving on to, remember I told you that there's this one machine that never worked for me. And this is it. Okay, whoop. This is the slice. Okay, I want to go to the table so I can show you exactly how this works. Okay, so on top of my, what do you call that? Okay, on top of my, what's that? My cricket machines. Okay, my electronic cricket machine. This is one of the earliest electric machines that I have. Uh-oh, B-boy, help mommy. Things are falling, 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 falling. No, get everything falling, falling, falling. Okay. Okay, pick it up everything na lang. Thank you, my love. Yes, everything is falling down. My God. All right, so I know you see this when I go live because sometimes I put this on top of um my Tim Holtz mat. This is also um glass. Okay, and this is partnered with this machine, and it's called the slice. All right, so with the slice, you are supposed to put an SD card. So you actually buy the SD cards for this. Okay, so when you do so, and then so like this one says basics one. Okay, and then you put that in, and then you're supposed to open, choose the image you want, and then you press the side and it will cut. All right, so if you can see, that's the mechanism that will cut. And what you do is you put your paper underneath. Okay, for example, okay, I don't have any more solid paper. For example, okay, hold on. Example, this paper. I want to cut that paper. Okay. Okay, so let's put washi tape. Okay, so it will not move. Okay, and then what you're supposed to do is to put this on top of that.
press and then press the sides, and then it will, just hold it. Okay, and then it will, and then it will cut. Maybe it gave me maybe just two or three, and then it never worked. And this is from Making Memories, if I'm not mistaken. The sad part there, my friends, it never worked. And I was hoping that it's gonna work. So I have all of these. I have the basics one. I have the animal crackers. Do you know the animal crackers line of what do you call this? Making Memories. They have that line, right, of animal crackers paper. It coordinates with this. Okay, you have the basics three. When you say basics, it's squares, circles, rectangles. This one has calendar. This one's ABCs with this kind of design. This is thinking of you, words and expressions. I have international travel. I have for Christmas, fa la la. I have for big kids, right? So I have all of this. And then the machine didn't work. So this was one of my very, very ouchy experience. Okay. So I tried to download the, maybe SVGs or something that maybe I can use now. It's protected. You cannot download. Okay, you cannot download the images from the SD card. Anyway, it's so easy now with the Cricut. Whatever image you see, actually, you can turn into an SVG, right? So, there, I just wanted to share that with you. Okay, but before I go back to the other side, okay, have you counted how many already? All right, let me just go back. Okay, to the chat. Okay, you can hear me. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let me see. Where did I end? Uh, okay, hold on. Cindy, before Cindy. And Anne Marie is here already. Okay, okay. I've got a brand new one of the. Wow, I'm so envious. Oh, it's hammer time. Yes, yes. Okay, so let's go back to the chat first before I move on. Yes, so that was hammering. So normally I use that with care with my younger students in my learning center. Okay. So I used to have that cricket too, right, Yvette? Okay. So that was, the earliest releases of cricket. Okay. And they've gone a long, long way. So before you need to buy the cartridges, now you just need to buy or to subscribe to the Cricket Design Space, right? So Susan said she has a brand new one of those cricket machines with cartridges. It was a gift, and I never wanted to play all to pay all that money for the cartridge. Exactly. So that's why when they came up with the Cricket Design Space, it was like a game changer. Right, you don't need to actually get those cards. They're kind of spendy as well, right? And very limited, right? So now with the design space, it was nicer. And Reagan said, I have a Cricut Cuttlebug, Spellbinders Platinum XL, Gemini Mini, Gemini Junior. I also have a Cricut Explore Air 2 and a Brothers Cut and Cut. That one I don't have. Yes. Okay. I don't know. I keep on telling myself this year, this year. I don't know when. And okay, Yvette still has her big shot. The machines I showed you, except for this slice one, still working. Still working. So I also have a maker, said Susan. My daughter's daughter's cricket. I like the cricket jar. I don't have it, but during our craft getaway in Boracay 2 years ago, one of our friends, Marie, brought hers, and it was game changing. It's like, wow, it's so small, and yet it can, do basically everything that the maker or the Explorer Air can do. Especially if you're gonna be bringing it somewhere, the portability is awesome. So it's nice. Okay, and of course, hi Anne. Anne Marit is here. You also have a Cricket Joy. Now you remember you have a cricket joy as well, right? Hello, hello again. Okay, I lost count, said Wims. Okay, how many have shown already? All right, Cheryl, I have the big shot and the sidekick and a vagabond that I never use. Oh, you know why? Maybe Cheryl, because the vagabond is the version of Team Halts, right? So it's Sizzix. It's super nice. The container, where it is, it's so pretty, right? I never got that because it's actually quite expensive, right? So I think that was 6 or 7 if counting the paddle punch. Okay, Stamper's Journey, but it also went by the name of, yes, there you go, the Spellbinder's Grand Caliber. Okay, I called it the cherry one. I see online in the cherry color she mentioned. Yes, that's the one, Reagan. And that was my favorite. Do you know? The thing is, the handle broke. So I asked somebody to actually come up with a metal thing to, what do you call this, to substitute. But eventually it's still not the same. So I had to eventually get a new one. Bira. Yes, that's the one from is it the one that is similar to, I think that's what you call it over there. We call it a different name, but it's very similar. Very similar even to the one that uh, uh, my memory again. You know. Come on. What's her name? Okay, I have one of her products. I don't remember. The one who has the machine. Oh my gosh, she's gonna kill me. Okay, help me, guys. I cannot remember. Brain fog, brain fog. Of course, there's Jennifer Maguire. Gina K. Gina K has her own. All right, there you go. The punchers are considered die cutting machines. The paddle punch, yes, but the, what do you call this? The punchers, the one where you press like that. No, they're really a different category altogether. Yes, Wims. My friends, Wims is really originally an artist. The traditional artist. She does watercolor, acrylic, oil, those things. But fairly recently, I think it's just 2 3 years ago when she started crafting. But now she's like, whoa, she can do everything, right? So there you go. The Cricut is not die cutting machine, but just a cutting machine, right? Okay. The Cricut, an electric cutting machine. Yes. Okay. Because it doesn't need the dies anymore. Yes. So it's just called a electric cutting machine. That's why manual die cutting versus electric cutting machine. There you go. Okay. We might have a baker's dozen by the time we're done with the rundown. Reagan, right? So that's why now you understand why I am on the fence about, do I really need it? Do I really need it, guys? Because I remember I even have the evolution. The evolution, the reason I bought that is because I was so, enamored. I love letterpress. And I've been wanting, for a crafter's version of letterpressing. But then I think it was, I forgot what's the name of the original manufacturer of Evolution when they introduced that for letter pressing, but the templates are plastic. Okay, not like the ones that now what do you call this, spellbinders came up with. So I even have a video in my channel where I compared that, the Evolution with the Platinum. Okay, and the old way of letter pressing. Okay, I think it was not We Are Memory Keepers, a different. I forgot the name. It's already no longer here. They used and the way they put the ink, you have to roll it. So it was very messy, not so nice. But when it really, the letterpress, better press is really revolutionary, so to speak, right? So that's why I have the Evolution as well. Okay, so it's okay. A lot of people really mistake my name. Layla, Lala, I go by any. Oh, okay. Byra, Bira Creative, Sunlit. This came out before the Gina K ones. Yeah, so those are the ones I have, right? So, and I when I want to do like commission work where it's a lot, that machine is like a workhorse, I tell you. And my nanny who helps me when it's a manual die cutting, she's the one who uses it really well. I am only slightly confused. I hope you're not confused. Okay, I've got a slice. Okay, how was your experience, Susan? I picked up at a thrift store like a decade ago. Had no idea what slice was until about 2 years ago. Did it ever work, Susan? Did it ever? I never heard from the company. Normally, right, companies would replace this and stuff, but I never heard until finally they closed, right? Because scrapbooking became, no more. It wasn't its golden days anymore. Mine showed up seemingly used or damaged. Took a few months, but they did refund my money. Yes, that was my mistake, Susan. When it didn't work, I should have just returned it instead of, oh, maybe it's just a glitch. They can, yeah. That's your tool set. I can't count that. I might need some more figures. Susan said. Right? So I seldom destash my friends. That's the thing. But I love sharing. I love sharing. That I don't have a scan and cut. I now have FOMO from seeing all this, but they are very old, Cheryl. These are vintage, right? So that's why the and I we resonate because we have a lot of vintage stuff. Okay, I have Big Shot Plus. Yes, the Big Shot Plus is the bigger one. It's really nice. So, the Big Shot Plus, if you are an utter beginner, you really you want one, but not too spendy. And if you're not gonna be doing, maybe letter pressing or what do you call this, foiling in the near future, that is a great, starting point. Okay, because you can actually tweak it as well eventually if you buy that. You just need to find the sandwich that works for it. So Anne Marit's choice, Big Shot Plus, perfect because it can actually do the bigger ones as well. Because nowadays they come up with very big dice, right? So if you still have the smaller one, you're not gonna be able to use it. Okay, so the Joy Extra would be a better travel choice since you can fit a full 8x10. Oh, I haven't seen anybody in my friend circle here anyway in the Philippines who has the Joy Extra, right? So but I heard about it. It does print and cut too. Ooh, no, I didn't hear that. I didn't read that. I didn't see that. I don't need another die cutting machine, right? Agree? Right. So keep reading chat, Lala. I say her name. Gina K. Gina K. Yes, yes. Thank you, my friends. Oh, you know how it is? Brain fog. It's so real. Sometimes when I'm teaching, it's like, oh gosh, what's the name? What's the name of this process? It's like I draw a blank. I don't know. Is this the early signs of? I hope not. You know that. I hope not. Okay. Where am I? Okay. Keep. Okay. Okay. Gina K. Crickets are digital cutting machines. Yes, digital electronic cutting machines rather than just an electric die cutting machine. Okay, I think that's a better description. Thank you, Susan. You've been helping me big time since yesterday. Require a physical metal die to cut. It uses a blade, yes, and a temp or what do you call this? An app. Actually, what do you call this? Wims. Wims actually has a die cutting, electric die cutting machine, not electric cutting machine. There you go. She recently got one. I think for Christmas, early Christmas. Okay, there you go. Thank you again, Susan. I've got the slice tool set, not the actual slice machine. Oh, I also have the tool set. I'll show you. Because it came, see? Because it comes with it. See, I still have it in the box. Sad, right? Anyway, that was one of the worst, okay, worst up to now, okay, purchase I have ever had. Okay, so I've got, okay, there you go. Hi, Tita Ed. Good morning, Tita Ed. Tita Ed, I've heard and I'm super sad. Nagulat po ako. I'll message you in a bit. I know probably by now you already know what happened as well. This is my aunt who lives in Canada. So thank you po Tita Ed for dropping by. I need to get either a smaller manual die cutting or some 9-inch long or smaller plates. That's why I couldn't run them sideways and save on the cranking. I've only got the, yes, that's why I actually also have the smaller ones because sometimes it's, I just want to crank, I mean, I just want to die cut a very small image, right? But since it's a big one, I have to, crank so many times. That's why I have the small ones just underneath my table. And I know you've seen that many times when I did my Advent calendar, Spellbinders Advent series last year, right? It's better and easier to use. Yes, you love the Cricut Explore Air 2. Yes, that's what Wims has, right? So, and it's perfect. And she's really using it. So that's the best, the most amazing thing about it is that she really uses it. Remember, I didn't use mine for more than 3 years. Okay, I bought the slice tool set with me to paper Ganza, perfect for try. Oh, at least, oh, thank you, Susan. At least the tool set we can use, right? So there's at least something that I can use from this thing, right? Anyways, okay, and then okay, Crystal said a friend gave me a brand new intricate. I thought I bought her intricate mini. All right, see, there's so many new ones, right? It's if ever I do get one, okay, somebody hopefully, okay, will give it to me for Christmas. Okay, but then I don't have a hobby. So I don't think so. I have to buy it myself. Okay, so but at any rate, I still have all of this functioning. They're very old. It's okay, but I have them, so I'll use them. Okay, I think I don't have a reason to buy a new one. I think you will all agree. You can imagine how long it took me to crank out tiny envelopes from Lynn's Easy Number 3. Right? So, okay, so that's the only thing you need, Susan. A tinier die cutting, manual die cutting machine. All right, so let's move on. I'm done with my manual. Now let's go to the electric cutting machines. Okay, heading on to.
Okay, heading on back there. Oh, yes, maybe I should have used this instead because that's bigger. Okay, so you can guys can still hear me. All right, so come on, camera, follow. All right, so now we are in our, okay, okay. So after the, the Cricut machines with cartridges, okay, so my next, and then I had the, before the Explorer Air 2, there was the Explorer, and there was something else. Okay, and then finally, I got this one. The others, I no longer really use. Okay, I don't know if they're still working, but it's there. Okay, but this one is my Cricut Explorer Air 2. Okay, so this machines, the Cricut, this one, does have a print and cut function. Okay, so during the pandemic, I volunteered to create several thousands of face masks to help out our front runners, all right? So, to protect themselves. But the thing is, I cut thousands and thousands. And sometimes the acetates would get stuck. So eventually, both my Cricut Explorer Air 2 and my Maker, because I use both of them, um, I ruined the functionality for the print and cut because the sensor somehow, because I was tugging and tugging, because eventually the mats, were not sticky enough. So I had to, just do, because remember, we can't go out that time, no going anywhere. So just hacks to put them in place, and that didn't work often. So I even went up to, but in fairness to Cricut, we really um, took a lot of back and forth videos, conversations, emails, and stuff until finally they said, I'm sorry, Lala. The only way you're gonna have the, because I said, can we have it replaced? Because there's a local repair center that is, official. They said no, because that one we cannot repair, we cannot replace. You really need to get a new one. So I don't do print and cut anymore. That's why one of the reasons maybe I need a brother's skin and cut. But then again, it still cuts perfectly, right? So the only difference, okay, one of the big difference, of course, is that, the Explorer Air 2 still has a dial, okay, to choose what kind of material you want, paper, vinyl, iron-on, light, cardstock, like that, right? And then custom, okay? But everything else, and of course, this is, the maker is, what do you call this? The maker is more silent than this one, okay? And the maker, okay, this is the maker too, can do can cut a lot more materials. So it's a little bit more powerful than the Explore Air, okay? And this one, okay, so if you can see, there are replacement blades that will not work with the Explore Air 2, okay, but can only work. This is for the barrel for the pen, right? And then it has this, containers for your tools if you want. Okay. And then also this one. Oh, the nice thing about the Air, by the way, it has this. If you still have those cartridges, it can still work with this. You can put the cartridge in here and it can still work. All right. So it can has that one. Okay. And then, of course, you have the place for, your tools. Okay, so let's put the maker out. Okay, so this is the maker 2. Now we have the maker 4. So again, this is old. Okay, but in fairness to this, all right, I have made so many projects with this. All right, so, and this is where I put all my tools. Okay, so remember that you can also foil, okay, the Cricut foil. Okay, I also have that add-on for this one. I have the magnetic plate that you can put here instead of a mat, the magnetic mat. Okay, so this is what you put in underneath so that because remember you're dealing with heat, okay, so that the plastic won't be ruined. Of course, I have the different blades, okay, that you can also change. All right, so that is, and then you can put your iPad here, okay, and this one as well works with just Wi-Fi. Okay, so I don't connect this to my computer anymore. Maybe my computer is over there, I'm cutting over here. Like what you see when I do my Canvas card challenge and I show you how I cut it, right? So normally it's on a different place and then I'm on my table, but it still cuts because it can do Wi-Fi. All right, so this is my go-to electric die cutting machine. But this, it's not portable, it's heavy, right? So this is not something that I can bring along when I craft somewhere else, right? And of course, I showed you earlier on, right? So you saw the middle Gemini, right? So this is the Go, this is the small one. So it's like very similar to the Blossom, almost the same opening, right? So for smaller, but the thing with the Gemini Go, I really don't like it that much. I rarely use it because it's very slow. It's like I can do it faster if I crank, right? So that's the thing. Unlike with the Gemini Mother, okay, I call this the standard or the Gemini Mother, right? So there you go. It's bigger. The Junior is just this one. This is the bigger one. Okay, it has the bigger plate. So the plates for the what do you call this? The Platinum, okay, the 12-inch Platinum can fit here. So the plates are actually big. Okay, I'll show you the plates. Okay, Is it okay? I put it on top. Okay. So the plates of, just like, the regular, so I still have, a spare. Okay, so this is the rubber embossing mat. You have the metal cutting plate. Of course, you have your cutting plates. Okay, cutting plates. Okay, and it's very big, right? So it's very big. So during, if ever you get to, okay, eventually, if you decide to do the master class I did with Lynn, okay, I actually use this so I can do it faster, right? And of course, there are your plastic shim and your magnetic shim. So these are the different shims that come with the Gemini, right? So the thing with the Gemini, with the other cutting machines, by the way, you don't get the magnetic shim, the what do you call this, the metal shim. Normally, you just get the base plate and the cutting plates. Everything else you need to buy as add-on. But with the Gemini, everything is included. Okay, and then you just, of course, they're consumable, so eventually you have to replace, right? And my hack for using, this self-healing mats from a dollar store, I also use for my Gemini. Okay, so even the big ones. All right, and of course, on top of the Cricut, okay, one thing about Cricut is so easy to use. Very easy to use. So if you're an utter beginner and you want to do electric cutting machines, there you're good to go. Because Cameo, okay, has a bit of a steeper learning curve. Okay, so this is the very first silhouette Cameo. So when this got released, I asked my sister really for this as a gift. Okay, she said, okay, but you need to make me stickers. I said, okay, okay. But I never learned how to use it. Right? It took me 3 years before I actually learned how to use it. So you can see that the dial's like this, right? So this is the very first silhouette Cameo. Okay. And then this, of course, it's smaller, it's less powerful. And then came the silhouette Cameo. I'm not sure if this is the 3 or the 2. I know there's already a 4. Okay, so this is one. This is electric one. So when you plug it, okay, you will see everything here in this digital LED, right? So the thing with the silhouette, okay, unlike the Cricut where you just work with, whatever is in their design space, with Cameo you can do so much more, especially if you like 3D projects, boxes and things like that. You can create your own, right? So you can also like scan and cut through this one. But the learning curve, it's not as what do you call this, intuitive as how you navigate through Cricut. I needed to, like, where is this one, how do you do this? It's not as easy. So there's a little bit of a learning curve anyway for me. But if I want to create more intricate projects, then it's the Cameo for me. All right, so that is it. Okay, so the question is, okay,
How many, okay, die cutting machines was I able to show you tonight? And so, my friends, I ask you, do I need another die cutting machine? Although I'm so impressed with the Empress, how you guys, a lot of you are like, this is so nice, it's really nice, and it's so pretty as well. But every time I would like, but I still have a working die cutting machine, all right? I wish they're no longer working, but they are. So that's why I said I don't think I will be buying one unless there's something really, really that machine can do that my other die cutting machines, manual or electric, won't be able to do. Okay, so what was the total for the manual machines? Oh, I didn't cut how many the manual was, but I do know how many in all. Okay, that I showed you tonight. Okay, so Annie, we get to make a new guess. All right, now that you've seen it, yeah, because sometimes I go back and forth. Maybe you got confused. All right, just for fun. There's no prize, my friends. All right, just for fun. No, wow, how I wish 16. No, yes, always. You're such an enabler, Reagan. No, use the money to buy the card stock instead, right? Right, but maybe not card stock, Susan. I also have a lot of card stock. So maybe something else. Really, if there is one thing that I would buy, it probably would be really the Brothers Cut and Cut. That one. But since I can still fussy cut okay, so probably not in the very near future. Okay. So okay. 25, no. Lower. Not 25. Double digits though. Double digits. Right? So let me just go back to this. Okay, so my favorite picks while you try to guess how many actually I showcased tonight. All right, so my favorites for my manual die cutting machine, if it's the small one, okay, so I have two. That's my Alten New Blossom and my Spellbinder Sapphire. Okay, for my manual die cutting machine for embossing purposes, Cuttlebug. Okay, for overall die cutting manual, it will be my Stamper's Journey. Okay. Okay. So I cannot do just one. And if it's I will foil and I will do letter pressing, okay, it has to be the Spellbinder's Platinum. Okay. And then for the electric, of course, it's the Maker. Okay. For electronic die cutting that needs dies, it's the Gemini Junior. Okay. Because the bigger one is so heavy and it's so big. It eats up a lot of space. I think the perfect size for me is just the anyway we for card makers we don't really use a lot of big dice, but every time I do have like commission work for creating boxes or 3D projects, then I use the bigger Gemini. So there you go. All right, so that is okay the family. And then sample projects, okay, I will show you that in the next coming, okay, as I actually specifically for different techniques. All right. So examples or die cut sentiment cards, embossed tag, shape cards, cry cut vinyl projects, and Gemini fall cards. Actually, there's a lot of videos. I have more than 1,000 videos on my channel. And if you are a member, you can absolutely go through the whole playlist and check out the many okay things that I have done over in the past. Sometimes or almost most of the time with other crafty friends. So whether you're a team manual or team electric, there's a die cutting machine perfect for your budget and crafting style. Again, if you're a little bit on the more wisdom side like me who can no longer do manual die cutting machine, you have the options of several electric machines. So just follow what Reagan said and Susan said. Check it out. Watch other videos first and see which one resonates with you first. Okay. And then if you can, in the stores, normally they will let you try it out as well. Okay. And then, of course, don't forget to, okay, hold on. Where is that? Okay. All right. First, join us on social media and tag us. Okay, if you actually, inspired by this and want to create something and you did, please what do you call this? Tag me, hashtag CEDA 2025, hashtag craft everyday in August, hashtag Mommy Guide Inc., or hashtag the basic of crafting. And of course, don't forget to like this video, live stream, and yes, please do share, especially if you know somebody who must be, who wants to try out this awesome, hobby and crafting fun that we have. And of course, as you do so, please don't forget to hit that notification bell because this bell, okay, will let you will make you aware that I have a new video live stream or even shorts that has been put up. And of course, finally, please do consider subscribing if you like what you've seen thus far. All right. So, ano, you done with your hula? Who you call it hula or guess? All right. So I think that was the end of my slide. And it's almost, I've been here 2.5 hours already. And you guys are still here. I'm so blessed and grateful, even though you all know this already. All right. So let me see. Okay. New guesses. Okay. 60. Okay. It's still the old guesses. Okay. 19. Okay, then use the money to go. All right, I love that, Susan. Yes, I would love to do that. All right, so tell me which one is the best one and which one I should go to where most of you will be there because I really would want to meet you guys face to face. Right? So, all right, 26. Let me see, 16. All right. I think the closest is 16. Or was it Wims? I think was Wims 9? Because actually it's 12. Okay, so again, let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, how many are on the floor? BB? Oh, hold on. 11. Oh, okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, it's 16. Yes, it's 16. Oh gosh, Reagan, you're right. It's 16. Okay. Okay, it's 16. You got it, my friend. All right. Good job, my friend. Okay, almost, Susan. It's 16. I had to count again as well. All right. So, with 16 die cutting machine, okay, again, it's not as if I got this, in one time. As I showed you my history with, die cutting machines, it has really been a long time. And since did I ever distash? I don't think so. I think I gave one. Oh yeah, I because I had several big shots because I use it for my business before I do personalized stuff. So I gave one to a friend. Okay. So otherwise, everything that I have since the beginning still here. But what I do is I actually have a physical club. Okay, it's called Joyful Crafters Club. And so if you are here in Metro Manila in the Philippines and you want to, be able to try out any of this, okay, because in the club, you can actually have access to almost all of this. Okay, you can try it out. Just bring along the consumables with you. All right, so Joyful Crafters Club is actually a hybrid club. Okay, you can join virtually or you can join face to face. All right. So, oh, we have Lynn in the chat. Morning, everyone. Good morning. Maybe Lynn, you woke up because we were talking about you so many times today, right? Okay. No, no, no. Because we were talking about the Crafty Fun Friends, right? And I was actually watching one of your replays of your members only, Lynn, where you did diamond painting. Super fun. Right. So everybody, this is Lynn, our dear friend from LV Hand. And I told them about the masterclass that we had where we act because everything I'm doing this month of August is basics, the basics of crafting. So if they want to do a little bit more than the basic, we actually have your stretch, your supply masterclass series on Lynn's website. There you go. If you want to check that out as well. All right. So good morning. How many machines do you have? Yes, that was the question. All right. That we actually did today. So yes, I still do have several Cricut machines but because I no longer use them. Basically the ones that I've showcased today, somehow I still use them every now and then. But there are others that I rarely use, so I didn't put them here anymore. There you go. That's so. You're very welcome, Lynn, because we really enjoy, and we were talking about also MCA because Yvette was here also earlier on, right? So that is it for today for die cutting machines. Whether you're team manual or team electric, I hope that if you are wanting to try out this awesome thing that we do, paper crafting and crafting in general. Okay, I hope that this live stream and video has helped you out in determining what to do. Again, please do check out also Reagan's video. She actually did a similar one earlier today. See, I said great minds think alike, right? So for tomorrow's basics, we're going to be focusing on inks. Yes, as a crafter, inks is something that especially if you're going to be a paper crafter, something that you absolutely would want to look into, right? And actually, speaking of which, since Lynn is here, she actually has several videos about inks that I would highly, highly recommend because she actually tested them, all right, live, right? So you can also check that. I will talk to you more about that tomorrow for day number 5 of my craft every day in August. So again, with that, thank you so so much. I had so much fun. It's time to eat my dinner over there. All right, with that, see you again tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day, my dear friends. Bye.